to the right, caught over the middle, and into.
He's at the 45. Gets alone. Are you kidding? Oh! He's gonna go.
Oh, and he gets hit. The ball is out. And Philadelphia has it.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to NFL Turf Talk live here on DSM Media's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter channels. If you guys are new to the channel, head on over to @DSM_media on Twitter. Hit that follow button. We greatly appreciate it. If you want to be interactive throughout today's show, head on over to the YouTube channel. It's in the link tree in our bio on Twitter. It'll take you to every social media platform we are available on. But the YouTube channel is the best way to be interactive throughout each and every one of our shows here at DSM. I'm one half of your host, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter at DylanJD98. To my right, my co-host, Scotty. You can find him as well at Scotty Drowned on Twitter. My man, what's going on? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, man. Happy Sunday. I'm a little hungover, so don't mind me if I'm spacing out a little bit today, but it's good Sunday, and I'm happy that we have some Eagles football back because we got a little bit of a redemption to prove today, but nonetheless, pretty solid slate overall. When I was looking over the games, we got some big matchups today, so it should be a fun one, man. It should be a fun one to look into.
Yeah, man. So before we get into this Sunday slate, obviously not getting into the Eagles-Colts matchup, we'll be doing that on DSM Pregame Live just shortly after noon here on the YouTube channel. But looking around the league, before we get into who really needs a win, whose season's kind of on the line here as the NFL season kind of quickly approaches December, very quickly. But one team that season may be over, Scotty, took another loss on Thursday night at home. The Tennessee Titans beat the Packers 27-17. I'll ask you point blank. Is Aaron Rodgers and the Packers season over, or do they still have a chance to make the playoffs?
No, they're done. And you know, to make the playoffs, you look at the bottom of the NFC, which I'm trying to get it pulled up here now, but you look at the teams at the bottom there, and you have to ask yourself, one, who do you trust more? Right, I don't trust the Packers at all. Obviously, The Titans game, that's a game you need, right? In prime time, Thursday night football, a week before you're going up against the 8-1 Philadelphia Eagles. I don't see it. Obviously, they're at 4-7. Some other teams, I guess you would have the Atlanta Falcons are technically in the mix there. But it's the NFC West and the NFC East that are going to take up those spots in the wild card, and that's ultimately what's going to hurt the Packers. If you look at the NFC East, 3 teams could probably get in? And you look at Washington, they have a better record than Green Bay. They're 5-5. They can go 6-5 today against the Houston Texans, and they have the head-to-head win against the Packers. So even if it came down to like Packers versus the Washington Commanders, the Commanders get in as well over the Packers. So you go down to the NFC West, same thing. You got the Arizona Cardinals. They're 4-6. They're right there where the Packers are. And honestly, I like what the Arizona Cardinals like. Not that I think they'll make the playoffs either, but I like what they have a little bit more with Hollywood Brown coming back. You get Kyler healthy. You get James Conner healthy now.
D-Hop's been impressive since he's been back.
He's been balling. Yeah, so I like what Arizona has at 4-6 more than what the Packers have.
Yeah,
and then you have San Fran 5-4 and Seattle 6-4. So I just don't see where they squeak in, even if they were able to like win out the rest of the season, which is just not going to happen.
Yeah, Phil's saying Packers had to win Thursday to keep their season alive. Bench A-Rod, turn the reins over to Jordan Love and move on.
Don't do it before Philly. I want to see Aaron Rodgers.
I want to see it next Sunday night
for a reason.
But I think it's much bigger than that, right, Scotty? Like, it's not just the fact that you look around the NFC and can they squeak into maybe the 7th seed and get that third and final wild card spot. You can go to their very own division, and now obviously I don't foresee them slipping any further down from 2. But you look at Detroit, who just 2 weeks ago was an absolute dumpster fire. They were 1-6, 1-5 or 1-6. You know, we come on here and ask, when is it time to criticize Dan Campbell and kind of when does winning start to matter? They got one game ahead on the Lions, and the Lions beat them straight up. The Lions are 2-1 in their division. The Packers are 1-2. I think it's much bigger than just looking at can they squeak in. I think they have a lot more issues than that. And the fact that
that's fair.
The fact that through 11 weeks, this isn't week 5, week 6, hell, it's not week 7 or 8. Through 11 games, 11 weeks, They only have a 1-game lead on the Lions, and it's not because the Lions are over or exceeding expectations. The Lions are right on par for another bad season, but the Packers can't find any space in between them. Hell, they don't even have a lot of room on the Bears at this point, guys. They got half a game on the Bears.
Literally, yeah. There's nothing. And honestly, man, if these teams played today, it would be a pick 'em, right? Like Detroit versus Green. Detroit just beat Green Bay a couple weeks ago. Literally, that was part of their 2-game winning streak. And then Chicago. I mean, they've been playing every team close that I've watched the last few weeks, and they've lost 3 in a row. But nonetheless, they played every team close. Justin Fields is playing some really good football for his stature, right? And so, like, even looking at these teams head to head, it's just not a good look, man. Green Bay's in a really tough spot, and it's like we're talking about sitting Aaron Rodgers for the rest of the season, letting Jordan Love get the, you know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here with the Packers? It's crazy.
It sounds so crazy.
And if this
but
is it for Aaron Rodgers, my God,
or another, you have to take it into account because Jordan Love is supposed to be the future in Green Bay, and you're going down this path with Rodgers where this is most likely it, man. So whether you're talking about benching him, whether you're talking about moving him in the offseason or whatever the case may be for a team, I don't know, like Seattle, who has some young pieces in play where, you know, young rookie contracts where they can afford a guy like Aaron Rodgers. They have a multitude of early picks because of the Russell Wilson trade to Denver. So, you know, what does Green Bay need? They need picks, obviously, to move forward.
Yeah.
But it is the sad truth. And again, he's going out in such bad fashion. I talk to you about this all the time with all-time great quarterbacks. The way I had to watch, you know, Peyton Manning, although he won a Super Bowl, I had to watch Peyton Manning deteriorate be like in front of my eyes. You know, I watched Ben Roethlisberger go from, you know, a Super Bowl champion, one of the greatest athletes just because of how his size and his mobility and the arm strength, right? He was horrible for the last 2 or 3 years. You watch Rodgers, dude. Like, he is so far packed it in. Like, you can go back. I don't know how much of the game you caught, but there was a play over the middle on 3rd down where he makes that throw 10 times out of 10, and Sammy Watkins is streaking over the middle, and he just puts it out too far from his reach. They had a 4th down play they went for, and he just basically gives up on the play. Like, doesn't even make, like, it's not a 50-50 ball, a jump ball for Lazard. He just throws it 10, 15 yards over the receiver's head, just walks off the field with his head down. Like, he looks like he's so disinterested in Green Bay right now.
And like, so like, just thinking about Seattle,
I agree with that, Phil. But
and I'm thinking about, like, you know, obviously some hypothetical situations where he could actually go. It's crazy we're talking about this, but even Seattle, is it worth it, like, to go and grab Aaron Rodgers? Like, I get it. It's Aaron Rodgers, and I know he's back-to-back MVP the last 2 seasons. Is it worth it? You have Geno Smith playing some really good football. You could just go in a younger route, have that young quarterback groomed by Geno Smith. Like, is it worth it for a team like Seattle to go out and get, like, somebody that, quite honestly, Aaron Rodgers has been a nuisance, right? Like, since the last 2 years, he's been kind of a nuisance. It's drove Devontae Adams out of there. So, like, I don't know, man. His personality is so weird that I just don't know how much value or how much I would want him leading my team next season, quite honestly. But I know there's going to be some takers out there, of course. You also have teams out there that just have nothing going for them. Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, that's another.
It really depends how you view your roster
talk,
and how close you think you view yourselves to a title, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're Seattle, does Aaron Rodgers at this stage of his career push you closer? Well, you know, I know his time looks like it's up in Green Bay, but it's still going to take a haul to have Green Bay push that yes button on a trade.
What if it's so hypothetical? Is it probably no chance? But, like, what if the Broncos just traded Russell Wilson straight up for Aaron Rodgers? Send Russell Wilson back to Wisconsin.
With that contract, brother, no shot.
Right? No, you're right. And how much do you think the Broncos wish they might have just waited for Aaron Rodgers? Right? Because I would take Aaron
Broncos are in a bad
over
place.
Russell
I don't know if you
right
saw.
now.
So, they Vic Fangio's son, I believe, is taking over play calling duties for Denver this week. I believe it was Vic Fangio's son. It could be another coach that I'm thinking of, but I thought it was like Eric Fangio. Someone was taking over play calling duties for for Denver. So Nathaniel Hackett is out in that sense. They have their own issues, but you're right. That's all season talk. Let's get to today, man. And I'm looking around the slate, and I agree with you. There's not a lot of matchups that pop off the page to me, but there's a lot of tough battles and a lot on the line today. When you kind of look around, you go to tonight's game with Kansas City and the Chargers. Obviously, the Chargers 5-4. They're looking to stay alive, right? You can look to Dallas and Minnesota, obviously here in the NFC. Dallas trying to continue to stay in the division race as well as a higher wild card. You have Baltimore and Cincinnati. They're not facing off against each other, but one really cannot afford a loss in either direction because they're trying to kind of gain ground or make them, or if you're Baltimore, separate yourselves from Cincinnati in the AFC North. So a lot going on. What's the first game, if you had to choose, that you are honed in on today outside of the Eagles?
Yeah, it would have to be the Dallas and Minnesota game. And I just find it so interesting that Dallas is a favorite coming into Minnesota on the road. It really intrigues me that Dallas is a 1.5 point favorite.
It's odd, man. It really is, especially when you're coming off of last week with Minnesota's big win against Buffalo and Dallas's collapse against Green Bay. It's like, and it's in Minnesota. Like, how are we viewing this game?
I don't know. There is a light in this game where I can see the Cowboys winning this game. Like you look at the Minnesota Vikings. I just wonder if that's the way the sports heads, the people that run the sports books are thinking as well. But the Vikings, this is a huge opportunity for kind of a letdown game, kind of, coming off that huge win against Buffalo. You fight your way back. It goes into overtime. You go and you're able to win that game. You come into this Dallas game. Dallas is coming off the brutal loss against Green Bay, right, where they gave up a 14-point lead. So it feels like it could be one of those games where Dallas bounces back. Minnesota, they come off the win against Buffalo a little too high, and they drop this game. But I don't know. It seems a little disrespectful to Minnesota in a sense.
Let me ask you a question.
And 8-1, even with all of those factors, it feels a little disrespectful.
It is disrespectful. But let me ask you a question as an Eagles fan. Do we want Dallas to win today? It's interesting, right? Because they're in our division. They win. They're 7-3. If we come away with a loss, we only have a 1-game lead on them. We obviously have the Giants tailing right behind us at 7-2 right now. But if you're looking at seeding, although the Eagles have the tiebreaker over Minnesota, Eagles win today, Minnesota loses Dallas. You keep that little bit of cushion between Dallas already that you have, and you get another game lead on Minnesota. I'm not saying I do. I'm not rooting for Dallas. I'm just saying I don't think I'll be upset one way or the other. Yeah. I guess the only thing I can say is it'll piss me off if the Cowboys, it's because that would be a big win for Dallas. So that's the only negative light I would view this game in. Like, wow, that's a pretty big win for them.
Yeah, and it's almost I want to say it's almost better if Dallas does win this game because I'm just looking at the rest of the Vikings schedule. After this, they got the Patriots on Thursday Night Football. Then they have the Jets. These are actually 3 home games in a row. So Dallas, New England, New York. Then they go on the road to take on the Lions. Then they host the Colts at home, Giants at home, on the road against the Packers, and then on the road against Chicago to end this season. This is their biggest opportunity to lose a game, right, and kind of create that separation from the Eagles. And I think we could ultimately use that. It gives us a little bit of room to breathe, right? If there is some way that the Eagles drop another game later on this season, it gives us room to breathe because we would still have the go-ahead for the 1 seed. So, all in all, obviously, we never root for Dallas. We never want Dallas to win.
And all in all, the Eagles control their own destiny, so they have to take care of business first and foremost. But I'm just saying it wouldn't hurt to get a little bit of help and a little bit of a cushion today. So that game's obviously huge.
Where are you going in that disrespectful
game? I will not be surprised if the Cowboys win, but I'm going to go with Minnesota. I think that Minnesota is going to run the ball heavily with Madison and Dalvin Cook. I don't know how, Dallas slows down Justin Jefferson. Like if Buffalo couldn't slow him down on the road, I'm not sure what the matchup is going to look like for Justin Jefferson today at home. He is dealing with a little bit of turf toe though. So he missed some time throughout the practice week, but he is playing. but I think I'm leaning Minnesota in a close game. I don't know
Yeah.
which way this one goes. I will say this: it all comes down to which quarterback takes care of the football today.
Yeah. That's
Does
a good
Kirk
point.
Cousins, continue to play stellar football? Does Dak throw 2 interceptions again?
And
Whichever QB takes care of the ball, that team will win the game.
And which coach, sticks to their guns, right?
Yeah.
Holds on to their identity. Dallas, their problem is just they don't stick to the run, man. You're getting Ezekiel Elliott back today. You have him and Pollard in your backfield. You got to stick with the run as well. But to your point, on the other side, it's the same for Minnesota. This feels like a Dalvin Cook game, right? The Dallas Cowboys have given up over 200 rushing yards in back-to-back weeks. It should be a Dalvin Cook game today. But the Trayvon Diggs versus Justin Jefferson, that matchup is definitely something to watch.
It's what we
for.
say every single week,
last week too.
Yeah.
So
don't overthink it. Do not overthink it.
Yeah.
You have
doing that.
A top 5 running back at your disposal who has had major success the last couple of weeks. You have a defense who, like you said, has given up over 200 plus rushing yards the last few weeks. Do not overthink it. Establish the run and then let Kirk pick his spots. You do not want Kirk or Dak, either side. You do not want either guy airing it out 45, 48, 50 times today. You want to stay balanced and you want to keep the other opposing offense off the field, man. So I'm with you. I think I lean Minnesota in this one in a close game. It is extremely odd that it's a home dog in this one.
I like it though. I like it because I'm with Phil. I am locking this in and I am smashing that later at the 4 p.m. slate. So I do actually like that.
I need an early slate W because
I need a W. Yeah, we gotta wait on it.
Me, man. But listen, I'm going to go to another game that I'm looking at today.
Yeah,
the Jets in Foxborough, man, 6-3, 5-4. We talked about that division on Thursday night, kind of how we think it plays out. The New York Jets are 0-13 in their last 13 matchups versus the New England Patriots. It's on the road. This game is it's another weird game to me, right?
Yeah.
Because it has a lot of it has potential playoff and division implications, wild card implications. And the Jets, to me, are the more talented team. Their defense has been really good this year. They have some big-time wins. The fact that they're 6-3, I hated when Robert Saleh said we're keeping receipts because I did not think they were a very good team at that point. Even losing Breece Hall, they look like the more talented team. But I just feel like Bill at home, Zach Wilson, the Jets are winning in spite of their young franchise quarterback right now. He has not played well since he's come back from injury, since he's taken over for Joe Flacco. I just feel like Bill turns him over today a couple times, man. I don't know why. He just has a knack to do it.
Because it comes down to coaching, and that's what Bill Belichick does. And it's in New England. The New England Patriots are coming off a bye. I mean, there's so much stacked against the Jets in this one. And like you said, they just have not been able to beat the Patriots, simply put. I'm taking a look at their last matchup because they actually played the last week in October. And I just want to see, because I know Zach Wilson definitely turned the ball over in that game a couple times.
I'm pretty sure he did.
3 interceptions in that game. So
and that was at home.
That was at home in New York. So yeah, I'm with you. This is a scary game. Don't get me wrong. I'm actually rooting for the Jets today. I want them to win. I want them to honestly
New
be
England
in
bothers
for
me,
that
man.
division.
I've never seen, and it's simple. That's why he's the greatest of all time, right? Like I've never seen a lesser talented team offensively be 5-4. Like, dude, they have nothing. They have. I know they run the ball with Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, and they do it well. They tried to play 2 quarterbacks in one game one time. It's Bailey Zappi and Mac freaking Jones, Nelson Aguilar, Jacoby Myers, like Devontae Park. Like, oh my God, this team has no skill position threats, and they're 5-4. And I think that benefits New England, obviously. But my point is, this isn't, the lesser talented New England Patriots that are 3-7 at home today.
Right.
This is 5-4.
5-4.
Playoff spot, hinges kind of on this matchup today. You take both against the Jets. That's big for later on down the road this season. It's November in Foxborough. It just feels like a Patriots win. I don't know why.
I mean, the Patriots win this game today. They jump New York in the standings immediately. They'll be 6-4.
Wild.
New York would be 6-4 as well, and they would have both matchups against the Jets at that point. But yeah, the Patriots have won 2 in a row, including the Jets, Colts, and then now they have a chance to go for 3 in a row. And I'm rooting for the Jets, but I think the Pats take this. I hate to say that. I hate that for Jets fans, but I do think the Patriots win this. There's just too much stacked up against the Jets. But I love Sauce Gardner, by the way. I love that dude.
Me too. But Scotty, just let me read you now. And I know to disregard the Jets roster. Record. The fact that the Jets, if they win, will be 7-3. Like, that's ridiculous. But this Patriots team, if they win today, they are 6-4. If the Jets win today, they are 7-3. Whatever way you want to look at it. Let me read you some other records across the league. The Green Bay Packers are 4-7. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 5-5. 49ers 5-4. The Rams 3-6. The Raiders 2-7. The Broncos 3-6. The Chargers 5-4. The Colts 4-5-1. The Bengals 5-4. Either one of those teams is going to have a much better record than 3 or 4 Super Bowl favorites at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
This game's weird to me. Where are you leaning?
I'm leaning Pats. Yeah, I'm leaning New England in this one. I think it'll be a close game. I think, if both teams stick to the run, I would imagine they would both do that. It's just a matter of controlling the time of possession and turnovers. Obviously, that's what it's going to come down to, like you said. And I think Bill Belichick, I think Zach Wilson is prone for a few turnovers today, as you saw in the last matchup. But maybe that last matchup being so recent, maybe they come out and they focus on Zach Wilson having a clean game, keep everything safe, risk-free. Because if they do that, if they just run the football, keep everything safe, no turnovers, they have a good chance of winning this game. Like you said, they do have the more talented roster. They have the better defense. They have more weapons on offense, right? They have the better young talent, but gotta stick to your guns, right? Run the football and keep everything safe for Zach Wilson. We don't want him taking too many chances and give a New England short field because, as you said, they struggle offensively. They're not a great offensive team. They run the football well, but that's about it.
Another AFC East team with a quarterback that needs to come out with a clean game today. Buffalo, obviously this game got moved due to weather conditions. Buffalo, Cleveland, no home field advantage. I believe this is the last game, correct, without Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson comes back next week, I think, against Houston.
Yeah, he's been practicing.
Cleveland, Jacoby Brissett, they've been far from perfect this year. They're 3-6, but they've had glimpses. They've had weeks where they play you tough, and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt can be a problem. And I've seen Brissett have a horrible game, and then I've seen him start a game like 17 of 21 for 250, right?
Literally.
Buffalo needs this win today, dude. As crazy as it sounds, they need a win because when you look at that matchup in Foxborough, whatever that outcome is, that tightens the race up in there. And then obviously you have Miami with already having the division lead on the bye this week. Yeah. How big is this game for Josh Allen and the Bills? And how comfortable are you that they don't drop 3 in a row?
It's a huge game just as far as righting the ship and getting them right in the right trajectory. And I think it's big in a sense of how you do it as well. It can't be like some tight game where you just barely win. Josh Allen has a couple turnovers. Needs to be a nice clean game from Josh Allen. And ultimately they need to get this win. Now, as far as my comfortability with the Bills getting the W today, I'm pretty comfortable that the Bills are going to get this W. I don't know if it's going to be by 8. I feel it could be a little bit closer depending on what the Browns do today. They want to run the ball. They would, open it up with Brissett. But it's going to be a little weird playing in Detroit rather than playing at home in Buffalo,
How
right?
much does it affect them? And they left late, man. Yeah, this is a good point. Like, I don't know why they didn't plan around this. You knew, like, you called the game earlier in the week. Why did you not leave Buffalo? When flights weren't canceling yet and there wasn't 8 feet of snow on the freaking ground and the roads were all messed up.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Until late.
I think they win, but I think it could be a tough one, and they definitely can't come out here sleepwalking against the Cleveland Browns because, like you said, we have seen the Browns' offense be able to explode throughout times in this season, and can't sleep on them. Can't sleep on them at all. But it would be a huge win for Browns, right? You kind of lead into getting Deshaun Watson back. It would get you up to 4-6. which then you're right behind the Bengals at that point. The Bengals are 5-4 right now. They get a W.
I'm
today,
intrigued by that
maybe
storyline
6-4,
next week,
but
man. I really am. Not the person. I'm just saying, like, I'm interested to see what he looks like after almost 2 years of not playing football.
Yeah.
It's going to be weird at first, right? But if
It is,
Deshaun
yeah.
Watson, the football player, is anything like he was when he was in Houston, with that rushing attack, with Amari Cooper, with that defense when they're healthy, like that team's Super Bowl ready, right? Like that roster is as close to Super Bowl ready as you get. If you insert him, not this year, I told you they're cooked. They're 3-6. They could not stay afloat without him unless something crazy happens and he runs the table. But I'm interested going forward. It'll be something to keep your eye on as to how good Cleveland could be.
If they won this game, they would have a chance. Nonetheless, that's all you need is a chance, right?
AFC
4-6, but
comes out tough, but I don't
keeps
know,
them alive
man.
though. But yeah,
how do you think? I mean, we'll talk about this more in depth next week, but I don't know how to feel about it. Like, dude, he better. Like, I mean, Cleveland
they gave him a ton of
paid
money.
him and gave up a ton for him. So he better be the old Deshaun Watson on the football field.
I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough to know without, we haven't seen him in 2 years. Like, is he still the same shape? Like, is he still athletic?
We saw him in preseason, and it looked bad in preseason.
It looked bad, yeah. But I mean, it's gonna look bad at first. I feel when you just haven't played it in that long. The game moves so fast, right? Things change. Even the way
we're not talking a year. We're not talking like 8 months coming off of an ACL injury. We're talking almost 2 years with just so much focus on outside stuff because of what you did. Yeah. Like, it wasn't an injury.
Maybe it'll be relieving for him in that sense. So maybe you can put the stress behind him in a sense, like the drama. Because once he's on the field, right? He's in his lane where he wants to be. So I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point about Vic. Oh, my bad. I took
you're good. But no, looking at this Bills game, man, I
who's he talking about? Wide receiver.
I don't know. Maybe he's just thinking. Unless, like, we're supposed to know the answer to this, and we're drawing a blank here. I don't know.
Yeah, I might be. I feel like it's an obvious one. I'm not sure.
But I just look at this roster for Cleveland, and I just think they're built to give Buffalo problems, right? If they're able to run the ball and control time of possession, it keeps that offense of Buffalo on the sideline. It keeps Josh Allen off the field. And then with that pass rush with Clowney and with Myles Garrett and them, they have the recipe. They have all the ingredients.
Josh Allen has to show up, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, man. I think Buffalo wins, and it doesn't have to be a blowout. A close win is a close win in this league. But he can't throw.
I think it needs to be clean.
Interceptions. Yeah. Like, he has to look clean. He has
to
look better.
Doesn't have to be a blowout, but it needs to be clean.
Yeah, I agree with you. So we're both going Buffalo there. I'm looking around this slate. You got Chicago, Atlanta, Carolina, Baltimore, Washington, Houston, Rams, Saints, Giants, Detroit, Vegas, Denver. Denver is intriguing. Only because
is it?
Listen, Plaxico had
two biggest.
Shot himself.
I was actually thinking that in my head. I was thinking
the
Perez,
name,
but
I don't remember how he came back. So
he got shot. He shot himself in the club. So maybe that's
it was in his pants at a club or something.
Maybe that's when he came back. I don't really remember.
I don't remember either.
That's interesting.
But I only say that because if you're saying that the Browns have a chance with a win today,
fair.
Denver with a win today, I don't foresee it. You know that.
See, even if they get a win, I think they're cooked. I don't know.
Okay,
I look at
hold on. Let me take it to the opposite side. Vegas. If Vegas loses and gets to 2-8, and like, you are by far the laughing stock of the AFC West because Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson just gave it to you. What do you do moving forward? What's the problem? Josh McDaniels, by the way, I don't know if you saw an article about this.
Yeah,
he's not going anywhere.
No, they're locked in.
Yeah, the team they are so poorly ran and constructed.
They can't afford to fire him.
Yes, they can't afford to fire him and then pay somebody else, apparently. And that's not just for this year. Next,
because they're probably still paying John Gruden, right? Like, I don't know how that worked. If that was cut
next
off
year, he's not going anywhere. But that's what they say. Things could change.
Yeah.
If they finish with 3 wins, who knows? But apparently he's not going anywhere.
2 biggest disappointments in the NFL,
does that mean
right?
we move on from Derek Carr?
I mean, if you get a top draft pick, yeah. I mean, I guess like. Is Derek Carr the problem though? Like, I don't know,
don't
Dylan.
know.
Like, it's so hard.
I mean, I could tell you what the problem is, but he can't go anywhere.
Right. And it's rough because, like you go in the rookie quarter, like you can't move on from Derek Carr. You brought in Devontae Adams, right? Like, are they tied at the knot?
Wait, didn't Derek Carr just get paid not too long ago? Maybe I'm completely wrong here, but I felt like he got paid a not too many years ago. And
I mean, I'm looking at his numbers right now. So he's 62% completion, up over 2,000 passing yards, 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's an 89.8 quarterback rating. I mean, top 15 numbers, I mean, all around. 10th in QBR, tied for 13th in interceptions, tied for 12th in touchdowns, 15th in passing yards. It's not Derek Carr, but is it Derek Carr, right? Like, are these empty stats? Is this his
Scotty,
leadership? Is it?
Now,
what?
I know he last year he agreed to a 3-year, $121.5 million contract. He has a potential opt-out in 2023. I haven't read into it, but the first thing I see is a full no trade clause. so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see them moving on from Derek Carr. Maybe Josh Jacobs they move on for. He's in the last year of his contract.
But Josh Jacobs
let
ain't
him
the
go?
problem, and not to mention
he's not the problem.
He's actually been better than we expected him to be this season.
He's 4th in the NFL in rushing. So I mean, do you even let him go?
The problem is the head coach, and unfortunately, if you're a Las Vegas Raider fan, he ain't going nowhere apparently. So you got some long-term problems. Who do you like in the game? Who's coming away with a win here in Denver?
I actually do like the Raiders in this game, man. I actually like the Raiders a little bit more than the Broncos overall, honestly. I don't like what the Broncos are doing offensively. Their defense is really good. They're in Denver, right?
Yeah.
But I just think if Las Vegas gets up over 20 points in this game, it's game over, right? Like the Broncos can't score. Like they just don't score. They played earlier this season. Let me see here. They played the Broncos, and I think the Raiders dropped 32 on them.
It's one of their
it was 32 to 23 back in at the beginning of October.
Okay.
So I'm going to lean the Raiders in this one just because I don't trust Russell Wilson in this offense. They actually had Javonte Williams at that point.
How wild is that to say, dude? I do not trust Russell Wilson in this offense. And
Josh Jacobs killed them last time they played.
This offense was supposed to be Russell Wilson ready. You make that move, the defense is there. You talked about how dominant they can be. And this was another Super Bowl ready roster, right? Insert a quarterback, pay him all that money.
That's what they said.
He's also just such a clown, bro.
Like, he is, man. I just don't even like him.
Who's to blame in Denver? It's both of them, honestly, dude. Hackett and Josh McDaniels are neck and neck to the two worst head coaches in the entire National Football League.
Dan Campbell kind of took himself out of that combo within the last
Campbell's
2
on
weeks.
paper right now.
Yeah, he's cool.
But what Russ can control on the field, he doesn't look good.
He doesn't do
ever.
it. Yeah.
He might have a quarter here and there where you think maybe, okay, this is getting it going. And then it's right back to bad throw, sack, interception, sack. Like you can't score, and that ultimately comes down to the quarterback, right? Like,
and I just think back to his time in Seattle, and it just like as you go through the years, just a lot of like lucky plays. I feel like the Hail Marys, you know what I mean, in the end zone, like just lucky plays with like the
off script, like.
I don't know, man. I don't know. There's this part of me that thinks, him out of that Seattle system, we're starting to see what Russell Wilson is. Maybe he's just older. Who knows? But I would say they're both equal blame in that because Russell Wilson is supposed to be a guy that, regardless of coaching, he's supposed to be a guy that can ball out. We thought he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. So you can definitely throw some blame his way. And then obviously Nathaniel Hackett has been a hack job, right? Like that shit is trash.
Nathaniel can't hack it, Scotty.
Yeah, literally. That dude is bad. So they take equal ownership in that blame, I believe.
I agree with you though. I think I'm going with Vegas, man. I don't trust either guy.
Points,
to get it right. But I mean, this is the worst head coaching battle I've ever seen in my life.
Fair enough, yeah.
It really
honestly.
is. moving forward, though, does Cincy get a win today? Because this is big. You look at
They need it.
Baltimore at home against Carolina. Baker gets the start today. And Lamar and Mark Andrews are both active, I believe. So you would expect Baltimore to find a way to win. If you're Cincy, you can't be 2 games behind Baltimore with the loss already this year, I believe, on Sunday night a couple weeks ago to the Ravens. And try to come back from week 12 on. I think this is a big win for Cincinnati. Regardless of what Buffalo does, they have to take care of business against Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh, as we know, found a way to take Cincy all the way to the end of overtime in week 1.
Yeah, it's a must win for Cincy. I just wanted to say what up, Kyle. Make sure you tune in around 12. We'll have the Eagles pregame live going, so make sure to tune in for that. Go Birds. The Bengals need to win this game, right? You mentioned it. They lost to the Steelers the first week of the season. They've actually won 5 of 7 since they started out 0-2 earlier this year. So Cincy has kind of gotten it going, right? They're waiting on Jamar Chase. Apparently he's gotten off the crutches. So to get another win while you wait for Jamar Chase to get back and you see how optimal your offense can be at full strength, this is a must win, man. You look at their upcoming schedule right now, Dylan. And if you drop this game, you'll be one step closer to the Steelers than you are to the Ravens, because the Steelers would move up to 4-6. You would be 5-5 at that point. So they would be 1 game back on the Bengals themselves. Same with the Browns, right? If the Browns beat the Bills somehow today, they would be right on the back of the Bengals next. But you look at the upcoming schedule for the Bengals, there's no room to make up losses here. Like, you got the Titans next week in Tennessee. That's going to be a really tough game. You have the Chiefs after that in Cincinnati. Once again, a really tough game, a game where I would pick the Chiefs. After that, you have the Browns in Cincinnati, who, remember a couple weeks ago, the Browns stomped the Bengals out on prime time, nationally televised. They stomped the Bengals out.
And that'll be a couple weeks into Deshaun
Watson back, right? So that changes everything. And then after that, you got the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. You got the Patriots in New England. You got the Bills in Cincinnati. And then you got the Ravens in Cincinnati.
Brutal.
That is a brutal end to the season. So there is no room for losses to the Browns, losses to the Steelers. There's absolutely
making the Super Bowl comes with a price tag.
Yeah, absolutely. You get the hardest schedule that you could ever imagine. But there's no room for error here. It's as simple as that. They're 5-4 right now. Their errors came earlier on in this season, and now they got to kind of make up for it in a grueling part of the schedule. So not a great outlook. And that was ultimately, man. That was why I kind of picked the Ravens to win that division just because of that schedule, man. That's brutal.
Can I change my pick?
But
I think
absolutely, man. Absolutely.
I think I lean Cincy, and that schedule just deterred the hell out of me.
Yeah. And the Ravens, they have a much lighter, right? So
but
it's a must win for Cincy. I think they win today, though.
So do I. No Jamar Chase, obviously, still. We'll see when he comes back, hopefully in a week or 2 for them. But I still think they find a way to win. Their defense has been a lot better as of late in Cincy.
Yeah.
I don't think Kenny Pickett. I think he still only has 2 touchdown passes. I could be wrong. Kenny Pickett is not, or maybe 3. Kenny Pickett has not been
2 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Jesus.
How many interceptions?
8.
Yeah, the ratio's off for Kenny, right?
1-4 touchdown interception ratio. That's terrible.
So I'm going to go with Cincinnati's defense. I think they turn him over, and I think Burrow takes care of the ball today, which he didn't do week 1 against Pittsburgh at home.
Yeah.
So I'll go with Cincy as well. Last game I'm kind of looking at, man, before we get into our pigskin picks and our bets before we wrap up. Sunday Night Football, Chargers, Chiefs.
Yeah.
Is there any chance that Justin Herbert and the Chargers, as depleted as they are, can find a way to win this week against Kansas City at home?
It's at home, right? You potentially get Keenan Allen and Mike Williams back. That's huge uplift in the wide receiver room. On the other side, no Juju, no McCole Hardman. So
Kadarius Toney Day picked him up in fantasy.
Kadarius Toney, hey, he's a baller, man. And I thought he showed signs in New York. Honestly, he was their best receiver, and they traded him to Kansas City. He's going to fit well there. And I think today, another Kadarius Toney day. But nonetheless, all the signs are pointing towards the Chargers, and right, you need to get a win. You need to kind of get back in the division if you want to win the division or have a chance at it. You got to win this game at home today against Kansas City Chiefs. I just don't think it's going to happen, man. I don't trust the Chargers as far as I can throw them.
And I think
especially
Patty's
not in a
playing
big
out
game.
of his mind. I think Patty's playing
not
out
in
of
a
his
big
mind
game.
right now,
No
leading
way
the
I'm picking
MVP
them.
race for my money.
They
They
did
might
play
be the
them
best
tough
team in
earlier
football.
this season, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they played
that
them
was
tough.
the week 2 Thursday night game when Herbert took the shot to the ribs, and they still had a chance to win. I just think it's a different Chiefs team. I think it's a different. Now the injuries are obviously going to play a factor for skill position wise for Kansas City, but you still have Travis Kelce. I think Andy will find a way to run the ball tonight. I think that the Chargers defense is just too banged up. Their offensive line's banged up. And I like the Chiefs. Possibly in a shootout. It might be a little bit high scoring of a game if both those wide receivers are back for LA. But I think that the Chiefs ultimately come away with a win and get to 8-2. I think they're that dominant, man. I think that I honestly, even though isn't this so wild? Go back to that Buffalo Kansas City game a few short weeks ago, and how big was that win for Buffalo in terms of seeding later on to get home field advantage to be the 1 seed. I think Kansas City is about to run away with the 1 seed, with Scotty. And if they had to play again, guess what? It's in Arrowhead. It's not in Bills Mafia country.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to the Chiefs and the Dolphins in my head, honestly.
Yeah.
The Bills could get back in it, obviously, if they go to the air.
How amazing of an offensive football game would that be?
Yeah, the Dolphins versus Chiefs. I mean, that would be incredible. Tyreek Hill versus his old team. I mean, surprised that wasn't put on the schedule. But Chargers, Rams, Bengals, Broncos, Texans, Seahawks, Broncos, Raiders. So I mean, this is one of the last opportunities that I think the Kansas City Chiefs could
I like the Chiefs tonight as well. Scotty, if you had to give me for your pigskin picks a lock and an upset today, where are you looking on this slate?
Yeah. So lock. I haven't thought about that one yet, but I will go lock. I'm thinking Bills or Ravens. I'll go Ravens. Baker Mayfield getting the start today. Baltimore's a 13-point favorite, which I think that's a little long. But the Ravens have won 3 straight. I'm going to go with the Ravens as my lock over the Panthers today.
All right, for my lock, you know what? I'm going to go with Cincy. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Nice. I think that, like I said, I think that Burrow plays a clean game. I think that Kenny turns the ball over. It's not as monstrous of a lock as we normally give here, but I'll go with Cincy. I was looking at Buffalo as well, but I don't know. I'm going to roll with the Bengals here today. Who is your upset of the week?
I actually have a couple different ways I could go here because I do have the Bears beating the Falcons this week in Atlanta.
That's mine.
It's not going to be my upset of the day. I could go Vikings over the Cowboys since they're technically underdogs.
The Raiders.
Raiders over Broncos, another option. Rams, I do have beating the Saints in New Orleans. Matthew Stafford returns today. But I'm actually going to go with the Lions over the Giants, man.
Help us out, Detroit.
Yeah, help us out. And I just have a weird feeling. DeAndre Swift, I'm going back to the Swift well again. He complained a little bit about his usage lately this past week. So I'm hoping that works in his favor and gets him a little run. And I'm also hoping that, you're going into this matchup with the Giants. This is a huge matchup for the Lions, like a huge opportunity, right? If you could upset the Giants, that will almost ensure that Dan Campbell keeps his job the rest of this season and on into the next, because that would be a huge win. And that would be 3 wins in a row. So they would get up to 4 and 6. And Giants are only favored by 3 in this game at home. You're talking about the Lions, who are the 4th, I believe, ranked offense in the NFL. It might be 6th. It's either 4th or 6th. So I think there's a lot of room for opportunity to upset here today. And I think if the Lions decide to use Swift, yes, the Lions offense overall is 6th, 11th rushing offense, 8th passing offense, 9th scoring offense. Whereas Giants have the 18th overall defense, but the 23rd overall offense. Lions have the 32nd ranked offense, so we gotta throw that in there. But I think if the Lions go to the well, use their playmakers today. Use the guys that you're supposed to. Amon-Ra, DeAndre Swift. Of course, Jamal Williams will get his carries, I'm sure. But go to your horse, man. That's what I want to see. I want to see Swift versus Saquon. I want to see that battle today of two elite running backs that I have a lot of respect for. And I just want to see Swift prosper.
Both
man.
on my fantasy team in the same league.
Gone to this well so many times, but I'm feeling a big Swift game after the complaint. I feel like they will make a more of a notion to get him involved and get him going. I'm going to go with the Lions in the upset today.
I like it, man. It all comes down to the Giants' defense, right? Like you pointed out, although as crazy as it sounds with Jared Goff at the helm, they traded away T.J. Hawkinson. Their offense can put up points, and they can put up points quick on you. They've done it all throughout the season on the ground, through the air. Amon-Ra St. Brown's have been a monster.
Am I disrespecting the Giants?
No, I don't think so.
Disrespectful?
Again, they're 7-2. I don't buy into them. They got smacked by Seattle.
Yeah.
And Seattle's another team. Good record. I don't buy into you. So we'll see. My upset, I am going with the Bears, as you pointed out earlier. There's a lot of different ways I could go. But there's just something, you know how I feel about Justin Fields, but guess what? I feel 10 times worse about Marcus Mariota. And I think after, week 5, week 6, week 7, however long it went on with the Falcons against the spread and blah, blah, blah. I think all that kind of is starting to get put to bed.
Yeah.
They got exposed the last week or two. So I'm going with the Bears. Scotty, before we wrap up today, because we do have to jump over onto DSM Pregame Live in a few moments.
Yes,
my play of the day, I only have one in so far. I'm going to get another or two in. But I'm looking at a 4-leg teaser. It's a plus 6.5 point teaser, and it is plus 200 on FanDuel. So I teased the over in the Panthers-Ravens game to over 35. I teased the Eagles down to even, so Eagles money line. I teased the Jets up to plus 10 against the Patriots, and I teased the Bears up to plus 9.5 against the Falcons, plus 200 teaser on FanDuel.
I like it. I actually tailed you in a sense on that. I followed 3 of the 4 legs. So I had the Eagles money line, Chicago plus 9.5, New York Jets plus 10. And then I also have Buffalo Bills money line. So that brings it out to plus 210. So I did follow your lead there. I have a couple other plays, really just 2 outside the Eagles game. So my other one is going to be anytime touchdown. I said I want to see Saquon versus DeAndre Swift. I put my money where my mouth is. I bet anytime touchdown, DeAndre Swift and Saquon Barkley. That comes out to plus 300. I also dabbled in the Chicago-Atlanta game just because I have Justin Fields in fantasy in like 3 leagues. So I went with a little bit of a Justin Fields parlay. He's back in Atlanta. That's where he's from. So a little bit of a homecoming for him there. And he's in the dome. So I think that helps him out as well. But I have a Justin Fields anytime touchdown. He's been obviously killing it with his legs, 55 plus rushing yards. And Cole Kmet, 14.5 receiving yards over. And that comes out to plus 240.
Plus 240. I like it, man. It's not crazy odds, but I like both plays. Skoranek, Curtis Samuel, and Marquise Brown need to. I think Hollywood has to be an automatic start.
That's tough, man.
Normally I would go Curtis Samuel no matter what, but with Cooper Kupp inactive on the IR, with Stafford back, maybe it gives Skoranek a little bit more of an opportunity. I think I would still go Curtis Samuel just because
against Houston.
I don't know. Phil's going with Skoranek. I don't hate it because he's going to have the opportunity with Kupp out and Stafford back, but it's no offense, KC. It's a little rough. It's a little rough if you have to start Ben Skoranek today. Life's tough today. But guys, with that being said, that is going to wrap up NFL Turf Talk here on DSM Media. Come hang out with myself, Scotty, and possibly the Beard here on the DSM YouTube channel. It's in the link tree in our bio. If you're listening on Twitter right now, hit that subscribe button, like this video. We greatly appreciate it. And come hang out and talk Eagles, Colts. Have a great rest of your day.
Yes.
one-on-one.